events of our world is brought about with a sympathetic heart and a non-intelligent brain and mind, or an intelligent mind and a non-sympathetic heart. This causes chaos.
Chaotic events is what you're talking about.
Yeah, chaos. So the chaos in the world is brought about by us. By us meaning those of us who have a sympathetic heart and a non-intelligent mind, or an intelligent mind and a non-sympathetic heart. Even, it is stated, when the world leaders possess a sympathetic heart and an intelligent mind, they cannot solve our world problems, and they're not able to save the civilization. What has to come about is the difference between the good man and a spiritual man. A good man has a sympathetic heart and an intelligent mind. A spiritual man then has a compassionate intelligence and an enlightened heart. A reversal occurs. That is why the masters, those great beings, are spoken of as masters of wisdom and compassion. They are beings who have enlightened hearts and sympathetic understanding intelligence. They are full waking consciousness of the real kind, above the condition of dreams and death, above the conditions of sleep and waking. So, this process in each human being starts only when we acknowledge that we're immortal beings and reverse this process that we are here for one lifetime only. So then, our effort transforms the personality so that through it streams forth the radiance, the glory, and the light of the self, that of a spiritual life. And that only can come to us at this time, because we cannot live it during the day. We so do it at night when we go to sleep, and when our ego consciousness and the I consciousness unite for that short period of time, when that unison, the yoga state, take place. So if we can train our senses, feelings, emotions, thoughts, we would then see in the sleep not a refreshment of the body only, but the real refreshment and recreation of the soul, who in contact with its parent ego gains additional knowledge which cannot be gained in the world of mortality, and returns with that to make the world of mortality into an immortal world. This is what the teaching of theosophy is, that the sleep, dreams, death become but instruments, wonderful instruments of a self-conscious being, and it is used intelligently for the benefit of all. And this is the master philosophy that the first speaker mentioned, that was brought out again in the 19th century to benefit all of the world. So, in a nutshell, this is it. Thank you. Now we will open it for questions. Sorry, for the later students' benefit, we talked about the sheaths of the human body, and defined the I consciousness and the individuality, which is this ego consciousness, as a ray from the central spiritual sun, but it has an individual existence. And then we describe the spiritual life, the conversion that comes about from this to this, when the ego consciousness is able to control the activities of the lower and channels all of its energy in this direction. Yes, Tom?
Is it do ever improving things or great things or honest things, worthy things, so that we can, in the ego phase, be more qualified or enlightened? Shouldn't there be a sort of a hurdle, so to speak, or is there?
So your question is, if you become virtuous, what effect that has on you?
Yes.
Okay. The virtues are all listed in the Voice of the Silence, and depending on your morality of your daily life, this is what enables you to access the higher realms. So it does have a tremendous impact on your nightly reveries when you're in that dream and sleep worlds. And in fact, it is stated that those who do not show that moral aspect in their lives are not able to rise to the higher levels of consciousness. So it cuts you off from your spiritual life. So it does have tremendous impact. Yes. Dupree, did you have a question?
I was thinking on the lines of, there are times when people don't get enough sleep, and what effect does that have? Is something where, as you say, every night, if you're qualified, you go to the banquet of the gods, and you become refreshed. Mm-hmm. But sometimes in different conditions here on the physical, people deprive themselves of sleep. So what is that doing? If you, let's say, go so many days or nights without sleep.
Okay, what did we say sleep is? We said that jiva, or the life forces, come into the body. Whether we know it or not, we are in it, we're swimming in it. And it becomes prana, which is breath in the body. We're absorbing it, okay? So it is stated that the brain especially can absorb so much of this energy, because it is, what kind of energy is it? Electricity, right? We're electromagnetic. This is how we absorb in. And perhaps there are other aspects of it too that this student is not aware of, but it is electromagnetic and it is electricity. So that force that is coming in through our feelings and emotions, we're gathering it with our sense perception from the world around us and comes in. And it is stated that when the brain has absorbed so much, it cannot do any more. It must have a break from that gathering process so that it can assimilate what it has gathered. What happens in that assimilation? We go through this rest period in the sense that we are learning from the higher ego, and we become coordinated again in all of our sheets, so that when we wake up in the morning, we feel refreshed. Now you're saying, what happens if that refreshment is not there? Well, it is very obvious what happens. Can we function in the world without it? And the answer is definitely no. Because even when we sleep less than our own normal period of timing that we're used to, you say, I'm not able to carry on with my activity today. So if that goes on from day to day, and that assimilation and rest does not take place, the body is not able to absorb anymore. The brain cannot process all this input that's coming in, and it is not able to function. There are two forces. Ooh, I marked that one up. Centripetal and centrifugal. This is periphery in to me, and this is center out. So the ego is the one that's in the center, and it coordinates everything. But it cannot do so in our waking consciousness, as we talked about, because the waking consciousness is involved over here, is not listening to the voice of the higher ego. So, yeah.
Another area that has been of interest to this student is that of sleepwalking, meaning that normally when a person goes to sleep, the ego is the body is down and the ego is released, something like that. But the occasion where the person is supposedly asleep, but yet the body is up, moving around. Now, I've come across articles in the theosophical literature that deals with that, but it's just interesting, that area of sleepwalking and how people, when they are sleepwalking, HPV was saying things can occur. It's like the astral is controlling because your physical senses are dormant, but then there's a case where this daughter was able to hide things that were far above her reach than normal. Like that. So there again is an area of that sleep world that.
Well, we did say that the body, when it is quiet and the brain in parts fall asleep, it releases the consciousness. And there is an article actually, well, I didn't bring it in, but that says that when that body control is released and that it is left to the consciousness to control, if it is not able to, then it is deleterious to the body, because the body, because of its inertia, exerts some control because it's a stationary, right? You leave it in the bed, the eye consciousness then goes deep inside, then it goes through this dream waking, then goes into dream, which passes into the astral body, and in some, that astral body is developed and coherent. Otherwise, you couldn't be able to walk. Why? Because it's enmeshed with the body. And the person who has it doesn't know it, which is a good thing. Because then it becomes really tedious to learn how to deal with it. Because the spiritual development has to come first. And as you know, you read all the articles, you used to give them to me. Judge has one. Yes, be your first. Don't erase. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
So when you're sleeping, how do you take advantage, or how are you able to get advantage of the spiritual consciousness that you're having, that you're experiencing while you're asleep? How does that come to help you reorder your life?
Well, if you're able to bring it down, it would. But as the eye consciousness goes through a specific path to reach that ego consciousness, it has to come back in reverse order from that realm to this. And we put all of the dream activities on the board, but had to be erased. I couldn't keep them up there. So it says, and we will repeat it to benefit a little bit your consciousness. There are automatic activity of the brain that causes dream, and then automatic activity of the brain that affects this eye consciousness, the personality. And then the eye consciousness can affect the brain in return, but only the brain, not the personality, the brain. It can impart the stuff to the brain only. And then the activity of that ego, which is your higher self, affects the eye consciousness only. It's imparting to the personality. And sometimes the personality then sifts that information to the brain, and the brain is trying to hold on to it, but it cannot do so until it puts it in symbolical language. Okay? Symbolical language, that's the only way you remember it when you wake up. Or when the eye consciousness has been imprinted specifically by your ego for a specific purpose, you wake up and that scene that was impressed on your brain is right there in front of you. You look at it and you look at it and you never forget it, but you don't understand what it really means because you're not able to transcribe what the ego was trying to tell you. But nevertheless, that's the only way you can retain it. And she says, when we are in unison with that ego, it is very rare that we bring it back. because that's the yoga state that was up here that got erased. That's the highest spiritual consciousness that we have, but we do not come back with it because we're not able to bring it back. Because this is what the ego is concerned about. None of that ever comes into it.